how to begin using reverb. Once you've established your balance of instruments, then progress on to using reverb. You might like to establish groups. For example, I have set this group up here, if I look inside, for these various channels specific to the piano. And now I am going to work with reverberation, so I may want to add the piano verb to this group. So when I solo the piano group and ensure follow globals is selected, otherwise the solo will not work. When I solo now, I will also solo the piano verb, the auxiliary. So that's very important. Otherwise, I'm not going to hear the piano reverb effect. But what I'll do first, well, I can start with the piano. I'll just turn the level up in my system so you can hear the mix louder than my voice. Just start and stop it. So there is no reverb yet because I have it muted. So you can hold the command key down and press the plugin, and it's the same as bypassing. Command click. Go to the piano master auxiliary and look at the amount of send. So I will just increase that dramatically. We should definitely hear the reverb now. When I suddenly stop it, you hear the sound of the room. Just go back here and turn. If I choose a large space, so remember what I had said before, with a long reverberation time, the detail may be lost as compared to a smaller room. The decay time, the reverberation time drops. And a very small room here. So the corresponding decay time rises with the room volume or size increasing. There is also a tendency, if you are mixing on headphones, to add too much reverberation compared to when listening or monitoring on speakers, so be aware of that as well. So that's the piano. So next I'll have a listen to the voice. So you might want to also establish a new group for the voice with the, let's take these out. Voice. So now I am soloing the voice with the reverb plugin.
If you
turn that on.
Chant me,
and you can certainly hear that.
Chant me. If you
Here's the send amount.
Chant me. If you
Using a plate, large, medium size will sound like this.
Chant me. If you.
The reason I'm using a plate on voice, it gives a more transparent sound compared to using, for example, a concert hall.
Chant me. Chant me. If you only grant me.
Okay, so again, be careful on headphones. We tend to add too much reverberation. And when we play back on speakers in an ideal listening environment, we tend to realize then that we may have added too much reverb.
Enchant me.
Now we'll listen to the saxophone. Now saxophone, you may want to do a similar thing in establishing a group so that you don't have to separately solo 2 channels. So under here, new group, sax, take these out. Saxophone, we're using sax S body. Command click, turn that plugin on. I'm using the plate in the large setting. The amount of reverb. Maybe have a listen to that with the voice.
Enchant me. If you only grant. Enchant me.
So it's useful to compare the 2 lead instruments and their balance in terms of the 2 room types or reverb types used. Here I'm using the same type of reverb for the voice and the saxophone, but the reverb time is different. If I just open those 2 up and we cross compare them. So this one is for the voice, longer reverb time. This is the saxophone. You know, don't follow exactly what I'm doing. You make your own experimentation. You may want a longer reverb time on the sax, shorter reverb time for the voice.
Enchant me. If you only grant me.
But remember, the tempo of the song will help determine the decay or the reverb time.
Enchant me. If you.
This is for the saxophone, so if we want the saxophone to seem more distant, increase the pre-delay above 30 milliseconds.
Enchant me. If you.
So if I solo the saxophone by itself, so turn off the voice, increase the pre-delay, so it seems more distant, reduce it to 0, makes the saxophone seem more close to the listener. If you want it more distant, remember you are manipulating the early reflections. Listen to everything together.
Enchant me. If you only grant me.
So that's how it is. You should again cross compare. Even though you may be completely happy with the balance you've achieved without using reverberation, once you start to use reverberation, it's going to sound different, and that may impact the perceived balance between instruments as well. Be mindful the overall output level is going to go up because you've added extra signal level from the auxiliaries into the master fader. So later you may want, and I've mentioned this before, to form a master group of all of the different instruments and their auxiliaries, so that you can easily reduce all of them together as a group without losing the balance of your individual channels. And that way you can ensure that you'll have a perfect master level output without using the master fader.